But hundreds of miles from the opposing capitals of Washington and Richmond,
I don't know what the fuck, no. That's not what this is for. Yeah. What's going on with this, G? I should go out to some fucking change this shit or what? What up, dog? Oh, I know. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Yeah. That was little. Ooh, ooh. We got the German beer boot from the Tomball German Beer Festival. Yeah. You know it. Yeah. Up in Tom's Balls. Yeah, my mom said, "Why'd you call it Tom's Balls?" Why not call it Tom's Balls? That would indicate that I would have a respect for the city of Tomball, which I kind of don't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't hate it or anything. I just call it Tom's Balls. Yeah, we haven't had a drink since last Saturday, so yeah. When it hits tonight, it's gonna hit like the hurricane. That's what, 6 days of sobriety, so. "6 days on the wagon, reflecting soberly. Sober reflections. Like clear, sober reflections." how was that really? It was very sober. I find that sobriety is very sober. It's a sobering process. Ooh. Yeah, sobriety is very sober. I went on sober baticals before, though. One was it wasn't really forced, but it was kind of like, I lived in a dry county in Arkansas where my grandpa and grandma lived. And they would tolerate my aunt getting drunk all the time because they would yell at her and stuff, but they wouldn't really bust her balls. But if it's a man getting fucked up, they're gonna start busting my balls and kick me out. So I lived and worked in Hot Springs, Arkansas for like 6 months in 2006, and I didn't drink anything. No, I'm sorry. I went to like one party, I think. Or I'm sorry, I went out twice, but I was sober all the other time. Because it was 420, because some coworker at Lowe's Home Improvement in Hot Springs, Arkansas, he told me, he said, hey man, it's 420. And I was like, what's that? It's the International Pot Smoking Holiday. And I was like, what? Oh, really? I didn't know that. It's 420, bro. I'm throwing a party. You want to come? And I was like, 420 party. That sounds like a cool party. And I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm not used to Arkansas people. I think they're like kind of Amish. They're kind of like hillbilly and shit. They're kind of not that there's idiots or anything. It's a different, like the vibe. The vibe of the people. Maybe the draw, the transactional dialogue it seems a little bit slower, and they're just kind of in a different world they're living in. It's a different world in Arkansas. Let's put it that way. And but it was kind of relaxing though, because it's not exactly like a mile a minute, like Houston, like in a big metropolitan city. So it doesn't feel like oh sure, there's a rat race going on everywhere in this country and around the world, but it doesn't feel like a big rat race. Feels like kind of chilled. But I grew up in the country in East Texas woods, so I could put up with a little hillbilly, a little bit of, I grew up watching Dukes of Hazzard, just a good old boys, never doing no harm, and all that. Yeah, just a good old boys. Yeah, so I already grew up with Bubba and Randy and all that, so I was kind of like, well, I grew up with some of these cats. I can deal with this. A little bit of hillbilly, a little bit of the Beverly Hillbillies, a little bit of the Andy Griffith shows. It's dope. I dig it. I barely worked with this guy 2 days when he said it's time to party. But when you're like in your 20s, somebody says, hey, I just met you, man. You want to come to the party? You're like, the party? Where is it at? And so, it's really exciting. It's really an honor to get invited to somebody's party, especially if you're like out of town. If you're from another city or another state, and you're like, hey, I'm new to this city and state. And they're like, well, come to the party. Get to know some people. I'm like, okay. Especially in your 20s, you're going to be like, yes. So we started ripping on that herb, and I gotta. What do I tell my? how do I tell my grandparents and stuff, because they don't want to hear that I'm getting like fucked up or smoking dope or anything. So I'm like, so I tell them like, hey, yeah, I'm staying over coworkers. Yeah, I'm gonna stay the night. Yeah, they're having. Maybe I said they're having a party. That was, whatever, birthday party. Not celebrating Adolf Hitler's birthday on April 20th, mind you. So these people were like some hillbillies, but they were like hippie hillbillies, some of the best kind. And so they weren't necessarily like your traditional Dukes of Hazzard hillbillies with the overalls and shit. Like they were like the weed smoking hillbillies, the pot smoking ones. So we go. Actually, we smoke and toke with his homies. His name was Jared, or aren't they always called Jared? White guys out in the country. It's Jared. It's something from, usually white guys from the country are called Jared or Seth or Moses or something. They call him Jedediah or something. There's some shit from the Bible, right? Some names from the Bible. They're just usually called that. I'm used to that, by the way. I'm used to people calling their kids out in the country Bible names. All right. Nothing really unusual about that. Nobody fucks with the Jesus. Nobody fucks with the Jesus. Yeah, that was a classic. Yeah, they just said, it turned 28 years old? It didn't make me feel old. It was just kind of like, wow. The Big Lebowski's 28 years old? Whoa! So I'd been sober since I think was I sober most of the year, I think. Especially when I got into Arkansas. And then so this was like April, 4/20. So I'd already been sober for like 3 months or something. And then first thing we do is we go Hot Springs. Mount Ida is the dry county where my grandparents retired at. And then Hot Springs is the bigger city. And they had a liquor store because then liquors, they even have a place leaving Mount Ida to Hot Springs called Last Chance Liquors. And there was some, it was kind of like when I was 26, I was kind of eyeing some clubs, because there wasn't a lot of punani at the home improvement center. There wasn't a lot of hot girls. So I was thinking what if I went to they had this one nightclub that looked like it was some 1980s nightclub. It looked like had neon sign, looked gay and shit. And it wasn't a gay club, but it looked like some dance club. Maybe you could, find some ass. So I thought about going there, but, I live with my grandparents. So I was kind of I don't know if this is a good idea, coming home, 3 a.m, blitzed. I was taking note, what are the clubs? There was one, going into Hot Springs that was definitely a nightclub, but it looked kind of like 1980s. It looked like a 1980s dump in the 2000s, so it was kind of Mount Ida is like a retirement town. That's usually people want to get the fuck out of there. It's usually old people want to come in and live by the mountains and get old and die. And then the younger people want to get the hell out of there is usually the deal. There were younger people in Hot Springs, but that's still like a tourist town too. It's a Hot Springs, Arkansas. Yeah. So it's not a place that's going to have a lot of ass, a lot of bush. It's not a place that's going to have a lot of hot chicks necessarily, A thriving singles community, it definitely did not have that. So, I mean, at least I don't think. I mean, I worked at a home improvement center, so, you know, there's not many babes in there. And people in Arkansas, they marry really early. So, like some people, you know, they marry like right at 18 or 19. So if there were any attractive women, they're already like, even if they're like halfway decent looking, they were like already married. So it was like, so we stopped off at the liquor store. We're driving around Hot Springs, and we're blazed. And then we went to the liquor store, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get, hey, it's party time. I haven't had a drink in a long time. I'm gonna go for it all. So I buy that fucking Everclear shit, that 110 proof neutral grain alcohol shit. I'm like, oh God. And then I thought, well, what am I gonna kill this bitch with? Because if I drink it straight, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be nasty. I'm gonna puke probably. My ass, being silly, picks to mix with Everclear liquor. I think it's so funny to mix it with, I get a 2-liter jug of Big Red, because I was a silly motherfucker, so I got the Big Red. So I picked the thing that's gonna cause like probably the most puke. And so, you know, I picked the nastiest thing you could probably do, mix it with Big Red. Like the most uneasy to your stomach and your organs thing I could pick probably. So we go to the party and, you know, it's a sausage fest. It's just guys smoking, listening to Pink Floyd, getting drunk, talking, and but they have the internet of 2006, and I tell the guys, I say, you know what? This is a great Stone conversation to bring up, because they're playing their MP3s and shit. They're playing their YouTube, and I said, hey, I don't really know these people, so I'm like, hey, you know, doesn't Voodoo by Godsmack, doesn't that bass line sound like, yeah, so this is what I come up with. Hey, doesn't that bass line from Godsmack, Voodoo, doesn't that sound like Set Your Controls by The Heart of the Sun by Pink Floyd? Doon, 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 doon. And the guys are like, huh? When everybody's, you know, smoked out and having a few drinks, they're like, this is an interesting proposition. Did Voodoo, did Godsmack rip off Pink Floyd, Set Your Controls at the Heart of the Sun? Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And they say, well, I don't know if it sounds exactly the same. Maybe it sounds similar. Yeah. Okay, so I couldn't drive. Otherwise, I would be in a ditch or through a tree, and then my life would be over. So I had to stay the night there, but they didn't have any extra beds or any extra couches indoors. They said, well, you have to sleep at a outside on the couch in the garage. And I was like, all right. But they had a whole bunch of dogs, and these dogs had taken shits all in the garage, so it smelled like dog shit. And now everybody else was pretty coherent for an Arkansian. But this one guy was straight out of like a hillbilly comedy movie, and I was fucked up, he was fucked up. I had no idea what he was saying. He was like, hey, you know, man, like, and I was like, yeah. But I had no idea what he was saying, though, at all. So he was fucked up saying redneck shit, and I was like, yeah. And so I stayed up way too late. because when the weed wore off, then, you know, the alcohol was in. But this guy, you know, if you ever been like drunk and around like a hillbilly guy, it's like a redneck guy who's going to go, and you're going to be like, yeah. I have no idea what you're saying, but okay. I don't remember a word of that conversation, and I probably never will. I'll just remember that redneck guy in a blur just saying, you know. So after not having a drink and definitely no weed for like 4 months, I woke up the next day like, oh my God. Yeah, so I had this headache. So I drove back because it was my day off from work. That's the only reason I did it, is because I had the day off from work and I could say, hey, I went to a party. I'm going to stay at a friend's house. And they were like, you know, so I came back and, you know, it's not like my grandma and grandpa were like, where have you been? What are you doing? What's your fucking problem? You got a fucking problem. You got a problem with the dope, son. You're on that liquor, boy. So it wasn't like that. It was just kind of like, my grandpa's like, you don't mess up his shit. He doesn't say shit, basically. He might say some comments like, you know, maybe you should do this or maybe you should do that, you know, if you live with him or something. But basically, he's not on your back if you're working and shit. Like, he doesn't say shit. He's just like, you know, fuck, whatever. So my step grandfather is a pretty cool guy, but don't piss him off. He went through Vietnam and shit. Worked on the railroad from 21 to 55. Big ol' ass dude. Don't fuck with him. But as long as you don't fuck with him, he doesn't do shit. You know, he might make some suggestions, you know, if you're a young man. Like, hey, you're a young man. You should probably do this or that. But he doesn't bust your balls. So it's pretty cool, actually. But don't get fucked up. That's for sure. You don't. Maybe my aunt could get fucked up. I know I couldn't get away with that. So he had certain mandards. You know, he had certain man standards. And you couldn't violate those man standards. You couldn't violate the mandards. Because if you violated the mandards, you broke the rules. And so, instead of the standards, I call it the mandards. You know, because I'm a punster. So I make up puns. Yeah, so I had my wild party and I was like, well, was the party worth the headache? That's the thing about a party. It seems fun at the time. You know what I mean? So now before we got the Everclear and the liquor and all that, and the rum and all that bullshit, and the beer and everything, we were really blazed. It was kind of fun being stoned while the guys are driving around Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I remember I said, man, guys, I got to piss. And they were like, all right, well, now maybe in Houston, Texas, they had this when I was a kid. They were called Pizza Inns. But they're not really a big chain. They got kicked out of Texas or they lost favor, kind of like Mr. Gotti's. So when I was a kid, I remember like going smelling Mr. Gotti's, and they had a Mr. Gotti's and Mr. Gotti's fucking pizza, Italian pizza. And they had Pizza Inn, and they had all these fucking different places, you know, besides Pizza Hut. They had Mr. Gotti's. They had fucking Pizza Inn. But they don't have Pizza Inn here anymore. The Houston eatery, the food scene's very competitive. That's why Arby's doesn't really have a place here because, well, if you have a grocery store on every corner, then somebody says, well, you know what, I'll just get some roast beef and I'll just make a sandwich. And so Arby's had tough time competing with Whataburger, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, In-N-Out, KFC, Popeyes, etc., etc. Panera Bread, etc. You know, so the The Arby's over here didn't last because the competition for your food dollars really, really fucking intense in Houston, Texas. Massively intense. So maybe in a sleepier place, in a sleepier town in Arkansas, Pizza Inn thrives when it died. I think, did all the Pizza Inns die in Texas? You know. Yeah, there might be some Pizza Inns in Texas, but I was like, oh my God, there's Pizza Inns in Arkansas? You know, because I hadn't seen that shit since I was a kid. So I was really amazed. Yeah, the Mr. Gotti's closed here a long time ago. I don't know if that entire chain went out of business. The Great Recession, COVID, you know, I don't know. I'd have to look at a list what went out of business, you know, during the Great Recession. In the plague now, because there's so much shit hitting the fan in the world constantly. That's you got to have a fucking guidebook to, okay, what shit is hitting the fan this now. Now you have to have a Bible to how much shit is hitting the fan, and you got to be able to look it up. It didn't used to always be that way, by the way. I don't think the past used to be that way. But now, today, yeah, you need a different kind of Bible just to keep up with the shit hitting the fan. Yeah. You need to survive this world, you need a encyclopedia shitia or something. You need the Shittopedia. I do remember a world that wasn't necessarily that way. Yeah, a better world that didn't have that necessarily, but you know, that would just sound like an old man reflecting about the 1980s and the 1990s and the early 2000s, how wonderful it was. And then, okay, so it would just be like the same shit that's all over the net. People making content, people over 35, right? As men gold age and above just said, oh, I remember the days when people were happy and all this shit. Yeah. So it'd just be kind of old hat at this point. Redundant, right? Preach it to the choir, brother. That sort of shit. So in my sobriety, I had my acoustic guitar, but I hadn't really had time to get into it. So a lot of times in the back room of my grandfather's house or in his shed, I would go out there and just get my book out and try to play these chords. And often they look scary and they look hard to play and they look really difficult. So a lot of times people would say, they say, "Oh man, yeah, learning Chinese, I can do that tomorrow." Boo. And then when they see it, they're like, "Oh shit! Oh man, this doesn't take a lot of work." You know, so it could be daunting, it could be scary to some people. So what's the point of learning anything? Well, I suppose the point of learning is to know, sabir, in Latin. To know is like the saber. So they say knowledge is more powerful than the sword. So is that why they call knowledge in Spanish sabir? Like a saber? Because knowledge is the weapon. Yeah, of course. And some people might say, why learn the language of your enemy? Or those that have done you wrong, I suppose. Well, I don't think China was always humanity's enemy. That only happened in the last 100 years or so. In the Mao Zedong Communist Revolution. So the Chinese people really aren't our enemy, is it? It's their government. It's the Mao Zedong acolytes. It's the Chinese Communist Party that's really the enemy of the world and the enemy of freedom. Chinese people are nice. Chinese Americans, they're very nice. They're friendly. Hi, how you doing? They wave. They're very polite. They're your friends. They're your doctors. They're your neighbors. Yeah. The Chinese immigrants helped build the Transcontinental Railroad, if you remember your USA history correctly. Yeah. Were they Chinese slaves? I don't know if they're exactly. I don't know if they're exactly slaves. I'm sure they didn't make as much as white people did. I don't know if they did or not. I don't know if they're all fucking broke. I have no idea. I don't know how bad the robber barons and the railroad, titans. I don't know how mean they were to their employees, really. I need a refresher on that. I know the Chinese helped build the railroads, the Transcontinental Railroad, Promontory Point, Utah. And so, as I was speaking, my step grandfather Dan worked on the railroad, Union Pacific. And what was the funniest thing, being a millennial? I think since he didn't really grow up on analog and not digital. I think the funniest thing he told me is before he retired at 55, because he worked on the Union Pacific Railroad from 21 all the way to 55. And then he moved back home to Arkansas. And he said, "Oh, man, they got these computers now. I got to learn. They put me in a computer training." I remember thinking that was pretty funny. That is pretty funny to me. It's like a guy who's been, on the railroad spike his whole life. He's been looking at cars and working in the grease and working in the shit, making sure all the goods are transported by rail. And then they send him to computer training class. That just amused me. I think that. That amuses me because it's like the old world beats the new world of big tech and that's why we never feel. I think that's the reason why millennials never really feel quite at home in this world, right? It's not because the world is just so fast and brutal and ever changing. I think the problem is that we're people of two worlds, 2 centuries, the 20th and the 21st. So we're caught. Seems like we're stuck between them. And so we have great reverence for the past and we accept the future. But, the divide. It's like, even my yearbook was called Somewhere in Between. So, even the writer of the yearbook knew that we were in between 2 centuries. And this could be a devastating thing or it could be a really enlightening thing. So it depends on how you handle it, I guess. I don't think it's as wild as cowboys having to be civilized, but the transformation of society, the world, and technology is really drastic and fast paced. And this pace, could cause a lot of problems. It is causing a lot of problems and disturbances in society, in the future of mankind. Yeah, I guess my grandfather was like a cowboy, had the handlebar mustache. You knew not to mess with them unless you wanted, There was the tendency for people to think that people from Arkansas were stupid, that they were lacking in intellectual advancement. Just because somebody has a certain accent doesn't mean their IQ is low. It doesn't mean that they're not savvy. It doesn't mean that they don't have a high intelligent quotient. So through my grandfather, I learned that, just because somebody has a redneck accent or is from a certain place in America doesn't mean they're not wise. And man, my grandfather, Dan, the man, was wise. He's still alive. His wife, my grandmother, is almost dead, barely hanging on. But my step grandfather's hanging in there, even though he struggles with dementia and cancer and other things that are going to take him out. Sadly. But he lived a great life, an admirable, honorable life, and one worthy of note in the annals of lives. But his service to the United States Navy in Vietnam, his service to the Union Pacific Railroad and the transportation, his service to our family, his wise guidance throughout the years. Even if we didn't heed his wise words or his wise suggestions, were top-notch. Exemplary is the best word to describe. Oh, is she bothering you? She's touching me. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Amazing. Oh. Oh, wow. Is that a mom's in there? Oh, wow. What? Oh, no, it's smooth. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah. Don't worry, I've seen a lot of my friends and family watch RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm not judgmental. Yeah. Oh, yeah. David Bowie, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't usually think Somali women are beautiful, but she is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, the throes of dementia is... Will I ever have it? Or will I just die one day? Or something else? Yeah, I don't know. Only time will tell. Yeah. I think it would be horrid to die and not remember who you are or who other people are. I think that would be awful cold. Yeah. To not understand what's happening with yourself or the world or the people around you or things around you. Hopefully I don't suffer that fate. But it could happen to anyone. If you live long enough, obviously the chances are going to go up. Yeah, maybe I prided myself at being a photographic eidetic memory savant, but nothing lasts forever. So you don't need Scarlett Johansson to tell you that. And that's a sexy way to tell me nothing lasts forever, though. Have Scarlett Johansson say, nothing lasts forever. And 2015 is the age of Ultron, when the AI morphs into a super consciousness and tries to destroy humanity. People haven't seen this kind of shit since Star Wars, huh? Yeah, a lot of people are not used to seeing that shit on the news, right? Maybe a bomb, maybe an explosion, every now and then. Terrorist attack every now and then. But seeing the drones go with the sound effects. Now, are people used to that? Now, I knew drone warfare was coming. I knew that somebody was going to send an army of robots to kill me one day. I didn't know when. I didn't know where. I just knew it was coming. Yeah, I knew one day an enemy was going to send a barrage of robots and go pew, pew, and drop ordnance on my ass. I didn't know when. I didn't know how. I didn't know where. But I knew it was coming someday if I lived long enough, right? So, now what if, theoretical now, the world got along and all its objectives were aligned? All its principles were aligned. But the problem is, they're not. So you have what? Islam, radical militant Islam. Yeah, like Shia Muslims, Sharia law. Yeah, you have those people that want to take over the world through caliphate and jihad, militant fundamentalist Islam. Then you have Chinese communists that want to take over the world and spread Mao Zedong Chinese communism. Yeah. Oh, and then you have the former Soviet Union and the KGB thug and murderer who runs it, Vladimir Putin, who wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union that fell in 1991. Wow. And of course, you have our great brethren, the United States of America and our allies of the free peoples and Europe and our ancient heritage that don't want to be controlled or dominated by Chinese communism, Islam, radical militant Islam. So, was the war for this world about power? Most certainly so. When somebody drives past you in a Ferrari with a blonde girl and says, fuck you, and takes his money to the bank, he's being real that we're in a war. You know, it's not a joke. All right, whether it's class warfare or it's violent warfare, it's still warfare, isn't it? Class warfare, real warfare, it's all the same. It's warfare. War for what? The world. So I guess Dr. Jordan Peterson would say human beings usually sometimes fight for the right reasons, but most of the time they fight for the wrong reasons. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, what are the forces trying to take over the world? America, fuck yeah. And Western civilization. Yeah. Western, or you can call it European civilization, because, like it or not, the Spanish are part of European civilization, since they're Europeans. So, yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, that's good. Maybe she trusts a woman more than me. Maybe she trusts that female touch more than me.
Well, I find it and then I just try to divide the hair and see if I can pull it out easy.
You're good at getting those stickers out.
Yeah, I've had years of experience with
Yeah. So, the forces of Western civilization. Judeo-Christianity versus godless atheists, totalitarian communists and socialists, and radical militant Islam. The forces of good and the forces of evil are lining up. The forces of freedom and the forces of slavery are lining up. And the confrontation is gonna be bloody. Very bloody. Yeah, because freedom and liberty cannot exist with communism, socialism, Islam, radical, militant Islam, and tyranny. These forces can't. There's no compromise. Either one is victorious or the other is vanquished. There is no compromise between the two. There's no compromise between freedom and slavery. So since that is a natural fact, everybody that's been following things over the last decade, or even the last 40, 50 years or more, or the last 80 years. Any of us historians or photographic eidetic memory savants, we all know what this is really about, don't we? I mean, really, some people say, oh, the left in this country, the leftist liberal media, they go, oh God, they stole Nicolas Maduro. And you expect Americans to give a fucking flying ass shit about that. When, if you watched videos on Venezuela, or maybe you're a Central Intelligence agency World Factbook, look at the data from Venezuela. The Venezuela data for years is that the Venezuelan government fell because Hugo Chavez and then Nicolas Maduro preceding him leveraged their country's future on one resource, which was oil. And then oil competition became plentiful, and the Maduro regime stole more and more from the Venezuelan people, kind of like Democrats in the fucking United States. You know, they just took more and more, didn't leave any for any of the people. They're kind of like Tim Walz. They kind of take all for the Somali fraud like Ilhan Omar, and they steal from the American workers and taxpayers, but they leave nothing for the rest of us. Kind of like that. So basically, in a dictatorship, okay, so in a democracy, apparently, you could steal from the taxpayers, steal from the people, as long as you don't get caught red-handed like Ilhan Omar, Jacob Fry, and Tim Walz. Then you're okay. If you don't get caught like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and fucking, Chuck Schumer, you're okay if you don't get caught stealing from the table. You know, if you don't get caught, it's fine. But in Venezuela, it was pretty obvious who was stealing from who. And it was this one guy, Maduro and his regime, stealing from all the Venezuelan people, and their oil revenues went to shit. They didn't have a diversified economy. They bet all their economy on oil profits, oil revenues. So as the price of oil went down, then their currency went into shit. Okay. The Venezuelan currency went to shit. And so they had what they call hyperinflation. So, yeah, we had some pretty bad 9% inflation, Biden inflation with Joe Biden and the Democrats. That's pretty bad. But, so my $3 beer cost $4 beer. An annoyance for sure. But you just have to cough up the extra dollar or something, or work an extra hour of work, you get the extra beer money or whatever. But the Venezuelans, no, the Bolivar, named after Simon Bolivar, their currency went to hell in a handbasket. And so it took like 1,000 Bolivars to buy a fucking sandwich. So they went into abject, destitute fucking poverty. A nigga with 1,000 fucking stacks of paper, Bolivars, in Venezuela couldn't buy a fucking sandwich, a fucking hot dog that normally would cost like $1.50 in US dollars. So they fucked it up. And so Nicolas Maduro was also working with the Chinese communists and the Russian Federation to undermine American and Western interests. But actually, the Nicolas Maduro oppressed his own people. And the situation was so bad that people had to go to neighboring Colombia to get flour and basic necessities to stand in line for days and days, like a welfare fucking ghetto. And then the situation where food, the people were starving so bad in Venezuela, they had to kill and eat zoo animals. Let us agree as Americans and people of this world that there are living standards that human beings should be granted and that they're entitled to. And if a nation or a country or a dictator do not live up to those standards and steal everybody's shit and live in golden palaces while their people starve, then we have the right to take their asses out because it's not right. It's not right for the Venezuelan people to starve. It's not right for the Iranian people to get murdered down by their totalitarian state. It's not right. It's not right for the Chinese communists to kill the Muslim Uyghurs. It's not right because it's not. It's not acceptable anymore. And so the world is waking up to say, you know what? It's not acceptable for people to have to eat tiger to live. It's not acceptable anymore. It never was acceptable in the first place, but it's not acceptable forever. We need to not just take care of Western civilization and white people. We need to take care. We need people to have the ability to take care of themselves everywhere and have the freedom to do so. And they should have the resources to flourish. And that should be true. We will not allow this world to fall into dark iron fists of tyranny and oblivion. People shouldn't live this way, and our president that we elected, duly elected, in a free and fair election, Donald John Trump, for his second term, that we have voted for him, or third for some of us, is making sure that this madness is dealt with, and dealt with swiftly and efficiently. One day, the people of Iran won't get oppressed and killed for speaking out. There's one day all the people in Venezuela will be fed. They will have a strong dollar. They will have a strong reserve. They'll have a diversified economy. They will enjoy all the benefits of a first world country. Diversified economy, diversified freedom, diversified will. Communism just offers you spam. And the West offers people turkey, ham, fucking veal, lamb, everything. Communism, socialism, and totalitarianism, authoritarianism just offers people one: slavery. And why would the United States give a shit about a dictator in Venezuela? Why would they give an ass shit's fuck about Iran? Is it, some would say, blood for oil, and that's it? No, it's deeper than that. What every Western country, every freedom country fears is being conquered by the Chinese communists. Now, in reality, we should be scared but not scared, because every communist, every socialist regime has fallen throughout all human history. They're the first to fall. The free countries don't fall as fast, but communism falls faster than that. So why are we so jittery? Because we see its negative effects. We know it could try to enslave us. That's why we fight so hard against it. We know that communism and socialism will fall, but we're afraid it might overtake us for a time. Yeah, what's up?
No, I just black the same thing you got because
Yeah.
look at this, right?
What
They
up?
only had orange, blue, or
Yeah.
I mean, what color? I thought it was two days. That's the color.
That's not.
No, but it goes blue. That color blue goes down. I thought yellow was over like black. I did it too.
Well, I don't think, Mom, I had blue eyes.
I mean, no, I know, but since we couldn't contact each other,
Okay.
but you know what? When I take the phone back, if you don't like this black one, maybe I can switch it out.
You'll give me a blue?
Huh?
I don't think that blue is gay.
No.
Blue is a boy's
No,
color.
no, it's light blue.
Oh, yeah,
I think the black goes good with you and him.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
All right.
so I think it's the best
Okay.
that we pick. Because the actual backs of the book, oh, and have you seen this? Are you,
What's up?
Have you looked at the back of your phone?
No.
It has a big stand. It
No.
stands up or
Yeah. That's solid.
it's
Oh,
a
thanks.
building big stand.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And I told you it's your phone box, it's the cord, and then you got the plug.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, wow.
No, Iman, it says is 70 years old. Look how beautiful she is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Look at her. Oh,
Okay. She's 7 years old.
I just asked my mother. Hold on. There.
Oh, wow.
She is 70.
Oh, my God.
And she does,
Stunning.
oh, what's that,
Red lawn?
no, Iman does that commercial, oh, crap. It's a jewelry commercial.
Yeah. I'll fill that.
Anderson has done.
Yeah, I'll check it out later. Yeah. Yeah, Iman is fine. Yeah. No one's arguing that Iman is not fine and that she's Somalian. There's nobody that's arguing that Iman is one of the most beautiful supermodels ever. I'm not arguing that. I'm not racist. I do have eyes to see. And I'm not biased just because my favorite artist, David Bowie, married her and had a child. So it's not personal bias either. The eyes do see, do they not? And the eyes do tell the truth most of the time. Rocking a fag. All right. Geopolitics. Messy game. Yeah. So it's but the eyes do see. And the eyes don't lie. Or do the eyes deceive sometimes? Maybe sometimes. Geopolitics. Yeah. World conquest. It's riskopoly. So nations are playing the big game. Aren't they? The big game. I used to like playing Risk. It was like this old computer game, you know, like war games. You'd have all the different sides and who would conquer more territory. I would love it. It was a great game. It was a fun game. It's Risk. One of my favorite games. War games. Risk was exciting because if you lost, you lost. But if you won it all. It's an exciting game. Is that not the game that the world is playing now? But I think it's deeper than that, not just resources. I think it's fundamentally the war of the world, this world, our only one, is a war for dominion. It's an ideological war. It's a spiritual war. Maybe we survived, economic recessions. Maybe we survived COVID-19. I had COVID-19. I had the Chinese Communist Plague in my body. And what was it like? Well, first, from the virus, you get a bad headache. Then your muscles weaken, you collapse. And you can't move. So you're down for the count. Then you have trouble breathing. Respiratory system. SARS-CoV-2. Severe acute respiratory virus. You're infected with the Chinese plague like everybody else. When you lay in bed for 14 days in quarantine. And you can't go out because they told you not to go out. Stay 6 feet away from people. Then you go into the black sleep. And you're fighting off this horrendous plague. Your body's mounting its best defense. You're taking all the medicine and everything. But you lay in this black fog of death for days and days. Finally, with enough medicine, you break it. But you had to spend all that other time dealing with it. The Chinese Communist Plague. For Wuhan, China. Wuhan Virology Institute. Some don't make it because they have comorbidities, diabetes. They have respiratory problems. heart problems. They're older in age. They don't. Their immunity is not strong enough, and so 1 million or so people perish from this Chinese Communist plague that should not have died before. I know when it hits you, it's like, it's worse than any hangover anybody's ever experienced. It's worse than just having a wild night. You know, at the club, at the pub. This one's a hammer. It really hurts. This one's no joke. You can't move. You find yourself crying for medicine on the ground like an old person. But you're not old. You're like in your 20s or 30s. You shouldn't feel this helpless, like a little baby. You're crawling around. Oh my God, you don't even know what's hit you. This plague has already infected your body, infected your cells. So the Chinese Communist Party was allowed to develop. They're allowed to develop bioterror weapons against humankind, against the human race. Yeah, I got Bella. I got it. Yeah, I heard. Oh, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry, baby. So, the aim of kicking out the Chinese and the Russians from the Western Hemisphere, the goal was to strangle our enemies that have strangled us for too long. In the COVID-19 plague, they killed 1 million plus people, if not more. The Chinese Communist Party. In the end, it all comes back to them. Okay. I did not have a beef with the Chinese Communist Party when I was young. I did not have a beef with them. I said, you know what? You have your own country. You have your own laws. Maybe there was human rights movies, Red Corner, and so on with Richard Gere. And I say, you know what? Well, just don't, When I was a kid, I used to mess with bees and wasps. I get stung a lot. But today, as spring flourishes, the bees and the wasps are all humming about. And I know that if I don't mess with, like my grandfather, if I don't mess with him, then he's not going to strike me. If I don't mess with somebody else, then I don't get stung. When you get old enough, you know if you don't mess with the hive, if you don't mess with the bees and the wasps, you know you're not going to get stung. Normally you won't. When you're a kid, you're like, there's this bees and this wasp, and you fuss about and they sting you because you're making crazy acts. You're impeding them from getting their honey, their nectar. So you're messing with their process because you're a kid, you don't know. When you get older, you're like, oh, that's bees. They're just doing bee things. And then wasps, we're just doing wasp things. And, maybe there's like hornets and they have to do the tape and they have to call in the, protective guard or something. But most of the time, if you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. But it's time for Western civilization in Europe, Americas, and our allies, in Central and South America, and Australia, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, etc. We know that our enemy is purposely doing this to us, trying to hurt us, trying to damage us, trying to kill us. In Mexico, with the Mexican drug cartels, the Chinese Communist Party were sending chemicals to kill thousands and thousands of Americans addicted to fentanyl, a synthetic opioid. And they killed successfully thousands and thousands of Americans. That is their goal. The Chinese Communist Party know that a lust for freedom and a lust for liberty is a grave threat to an empire that's based on totalitarian, communistic control. They know that's a grave threat to their system. So that's why we're being attacked. But there's a breaking point for the world. They say, enough. You're going to get punished for your crimes, and we will come to attack you instead of you releasing plagues against us. The shoe is going to be on the other foot. We're coming for you now, Chinese Communist Empire. We're coming for you. It's not going to be pretty. So, they did it in the shadows for years and years. But now their veil is lifted. What are they going to do? So Trump captured Nicolas Maduro, cut off the oil to Iran, cut off the oil to the Chinese communists, cut off the oil to the Russian Federation. Probably the sorest spot for Europe and the Western civilization is our relationship with Russia. It should have been a better relationship. And it was a great relationship at a certain time. We should not be at war with Russia. That is ridiculous. For so many reasons. It's not just because Russian people and Western and European people are white. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is that we should not be at war with Russia. That just should not happen forever. So, in Guyana, it was discovered that there were some of the greatest oil reserves of all time, next to Venezuela. Is that coincidence that we took out Nicolas Maduro? His trial is coming soon. I think March 26th, isn't it? Yeah. Traitors that have sold us out to Russian Federation and Chinese communists will be punished. Iran created the drones that have attacked Ukrainians in Vladimir Putin's illegal invasion of the Ukraine. If it does escalate into World War III, we know exactly who our enemies are. We know exactly who they are. For every person that was damaged by the COVID-19, I was young enough to sustain. I was young enough and had a good enough immune system to sustain myself through the COVID-19 bioterror attack of 2019, 2020. I didn't actually catch the motherfucker, I don't think, until 2021, when I was in bed for days. But they don't think they're going to fucking pay for their attack, their bioterrorism attack? Do Chinese communists and Russian federations, North Korea and Iran, do you think you're not going to pay for attacking the West? You're going to pay with fucking blood. Blood pouring from your veins and your people. You're not going to survive this assault. Now, the American people are good faith people, and they tolerate it for a certain time. But you attack us long enough, we're going to fight back. You never, ever waken the sleeping giant. You never, ever waken up the American giant. Once America awakens against you, you are doomed. Fucking doomed. So these people dare that they could stop us, that they could fight us, that they could win. And you know, the truth is they aren't going to win. So the Russian Federation and the Chinese communists have to deal with their own people rebelling against them, whether it's let it rot, whether it's Russian, you know, the Russians have lost 1 million or so people, even more than COVID, in their illegal invasion of the Ukraine. What the fuck are they going to do when they lose millions more? Well, what the fuck are they going to do? Are they going to attack all of us that want freedom and liberty and peace? What are they going to fucking do when they get the entire might of the United States Western militaries all together and cut them the fuck off? What are they going to do? They're not going to have their balls to scratch with. They're not going to have a hand to scratch their balls. They're fucked. What are they going to do? You can hit us for a little while with some Chinese communist Wuhan plague, but you fuck with us long enough, we're coming to gut your throats out. It's on. There's only so much that the Western, the free world can take before we fight back. And it's going to be a violent, bloody fucking fight. And there is few among us that are cowardly enough. There's few among us that are not willing to fight that fight for freedom. They made a bad mistake. I guess 250 years ago, the British Empire underestimated the United States of America. They're gone. Yeah. The Confederacy and the Civil War, they're gone. The Spanish Empire, they're gone. Who else is gone? Oh, the Axis powers of World War II, they're gone. Ouch. Who else is gone that dared to challenge America? You dare to challenge us? Who dared to challenge Western civilization? Western civilization. Who dared to challenge us? And what is your fate going to be if you do? Who else turned? Oh, the Soviet Union. They're gone. So you're saying I'm supposed to be quaking in my boots if Iran and North Korea and the Russian Federation and the Chinese Communist Party challenge America, that I'm quaking in my fucking boots. Ooh. Yeah. You know what? You're going to be gone too. They better reconsider their calculation. We're going to add, the Venezuelans are gone. Madurians. Yeah. The Islamic Republic of Iran is going to be gone. They're almost gone soon. We're going to cut off all oil, all energy to the Chinese Communist Party. So all this is because most people in the world don't want to have a Sino overlords to have Chinese communist overlords. So the reason why we're cutting off all this oil and doing all these proxy wars is getting ready for the final battle. The final battle against the Chinese communists. Do I think they're going to win? Well, they do have a youth in China that's pissed off. It's called the Let It Rot movement. Yeah, they're pissed off at the Chinese Communist Party too. They're called the Let It Rot movement. Now, there's a way you could agitate people without direct violence. So what the Chinese people have decided to do, the youth, is to do Let It Rot movement and started to defy the Chinese communists. It's called Let It Rot. They decided to do shit and to fuck the fucking civilization up. That's what they decided to do. The Americans didn't do that. They did that. We don't live in a totalitarian. We have freedom here in the United States, the West. Now, freedom has wild responsibilities. It has wild implications. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Freedom has responsibility. Freedom is wild. It's not an ordered structure of a totalitarian state. It's rough because freedom allows failure. It allows success. It allows so much. Freedom allows everything. And communism allows nothing except loyalty to the state. So that's the difference. No one hates the Chinese people. But we do want a Chinese people free of Mao Zedong communist ideology. We do respect Chiang Kai-shek, Taiwan. We do respect the Chinese people of Hong Kong. We do respect all the Chinese people. And we love the Chinese people. We want them to be free. Because we know a free Chinese people will be industrious, they'll be engaging, they'll be great. But this system of governments that enslave people is horrible. It cannot be allowed to continue. It just can't. These ideologies aren't compatible at all. They never will be. They never will be. So either people believe in freedom or they believe in slavery. Either you believe in capitalism or you believe in communism. There is no middle ground to this. Either you believe in good or you believe in evil. There is no compromise to this at all. At all. No. This world isn't about money and power and resources. It's about what ideology prevails for mankind for centuries and thousands of years to come on this planet and beyond, that is the total truth. And it must be one that is fought and recognized and loved for all people and all nations and all worlds to come. This must be our truth. Oh, find a picture of you when you're 38? How did you? 38? I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, my bad. So the Chinese Communist Party thought they could attack us, a country of 360 million people, in a great land, a fantastic, most powerful country. They thought they could bring us down through plague and division, turn our enemies against us, turn our allies against us. Xi Jinping, you didn't win, bitch. Xi Jinping, you didn't win, you little bitch. You're gonna die in disgrace. Your Mao Zedong ideas will perish from history. You'll be wiped from the fucking face of the goddamned earth. And all the traitors that follow you will perish with them. Whether it's Mark Carney in Canada, whether it's the traitor of Keir Starmer in the UK, I'm only part Irish. Ireland. Wheelers only came to Ireland in the 1500s. But Wheeler was from the ancient wheelwrights of the United Kingdom, from England, our motherland. Also, the Wheelers expanded to the United States. Maybe it was the potato famine back in the day. And we came to the United States and we also met Native Americans. And so I became part Cherokee. Now, Indian people have a respect for the land, for the trees, for the birds. It's not a respect that's held by all people. You can taste it. So, my Native American tribe blood is Cherokee. Bleeds blood in their honor. I don't regret my history or my colonial past. I think it's beautiful. I am so many people now. Whether it's Cicero Wheeler, whether it's ancient Indian tribes that have been in these lands for thousands of years, we must protect it. We must protect it, this American soil. Whether it's my ancient home of the Irish and the great Irish people, we must respect this heritage. We must respect all the heritage that has built this great land called the United States of America. A wonderful land of opportunity, freedom from slavery, and a course to greatness. So, there it is. My language is English. My heritage is English. The Stanleys from England long ago, not just in the Stanley banking clan that's so famous. But the Wheelers and all that has come before, ancient Cherokee and the Iroquois, Shawnee, and all the other great tribes of America. Do you want to be controlled by Chinese communist conquerors? Or do you want to be free people? Or enslaved by communist totalitarian tyranny, where there is no freedom, there is no liberty, and there is nothing to believe in or aspire to? I say no, and nobody will. Nobody's going to accept that bargain in the coming war. The blood must be shed. It'll be shed for the cause of liberty, period. I respect all these dimensions of my person, my genetic lineage, of my soul. I do not frown upon any part of it. So every part of it was beautiful. And neither should you. Be not proud of your ancient heritage, because everyone should be proud of who they are throughout times. So, You don't scare us. Death is just a flower. Blood is just an evening. Victory is just a sunset. America is not going to stop. Western civilization will not stop until every child is fed, every family is cooled, every one has access to medicine and to health care. We're not going to stop this war until every man and woman and child is freed from tyranny. That is the goal. That is the truth. And it is the truth we will not neglect or deny. The United States military is cutting off oil from Venezuela and Iran to choke our gravest enemy, the Chinese Communist Party. I grew up with a Chinese guy. We played tennis every day. What do the Chinese people really fear? It's to lose. Yeah, to lose. Get really emotional. Now, I know, hanging out with Chinese people every day, they're not non-emotional. People think that Chinese people are not emotional. That's not true. Some people say Asian people don't have emotions. Oh, they have emotions. I love the Chinese way of discipline. I love the Chinese way of thought. That's ever since I was a kid. I always loved it. I love the way the Chinese have their discipline set up. I love it. I wish I could know more, but I can't because there's an oppressive regime trying to stop me from knowing ancient Chinese knowledge. And that's called the Chinese Communist Party. If there was no Chinese Communist Party, then I'd learn ancient Chinese methods of healing, defense, discipline, emotional regulation. But I'm not allowed that. No one's allowed that anymore. That fantastic knowledge has been lost through history. I want to know ancient Chinese flow. I want to know ancient Chinese wisdom, but they won't let me know that because there's a Chinese Communist Party that wants to destroy the West and enslave us. So I can't know it. If there's this, I can't go beyond this. I'd like to know it, but I can't. They won't let me know it because they don't want us to know it. They want to destroy us. I love Chinese people. I always had since I was a little kid. So, I want freedom for the Chinese people. Once there's freedom for the Chinese people, then there can be freedom for the world. If there's freedom for the Chinese people, there can be freedom for the world. Once I have the Chinese knowledge, then I can be disciplined and not let my emotions overcome. So that's what I was trying to do. A lot of times, as a Westerner, my emotions can overcome my discipline. I don't want that to happen. So I wanted to study more Asian disciplines that tempers emotion. Not that it's not that Asian people don't have emotion. It's just that maybe I can temper my emotions to more disciplined levels. That's all I'm saying. So that's all I want. Yeah. Hey, can I go have a little beer?
No, you already have a beer.
Oh, you have some money for a beer?
No, I already gave you a beer and you got snobs. No,
Alright.
that's all we can afford, Ron, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's all we can afford.
Alright.
Don't you have the rest of your beer?
Yeah,
Or you drank it or something? I haven't touched it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You don't need to walk to the store.
Walk from the store.
No, you do not. You don't need 2 beers. I
Okay.
gave you enough snobs, you should be happy.
Okay.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, what's up?
Here's $4 for a beer and do 2 quick picks for Saturday night lotto.
Okay, so.
Tomorrow night.
Okay,
Would you?
yeah, well,
Is that okay?
yeah, that's right. That's what the farm right now?
I don't know how much. Texas lotto
Okay.
is.
Alright, so I'm gonna have a start now. Thanks. Thank you so much. If I won a lot, then I'll give that,
I only have $1 left in my wallet. And I'd like to keep $1 left in my wallet, so I won't feel broke.
Okay.
Do 2 quick picks.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
or do 1 number and 1 quick pick.
Okay.
For me.
Alright, I will. Yeah. Thanks.
So, no, I need to do that. Right?
Well, I don't even know about one 2.4 million. I didn't even check.
Done.
If I won the 2.4 million, then you'll wait. You go through the surgery of engineering. What does he do if I won the 2.4 million?
If I found out tomorrow, he found out I would be there Monday morning, I would have left Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
And I would have got it, it came back.
Okay.
And you would have had to,
Yeah.
it's like screw the phones, whatever,
Yeah.
bring it back.
Oh yeah.
Your phone's working fine, so.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. I'm good. Okay, I'll be back. Thank you.
You gonna do 1 quick pick for me?
Yeah, I got it.
Alright, thank you. Hey, you're gonna do it for the big lot on Saturday night.
Yeah, got it.
Alright. I'm not trying to be rude, but.
Yeah.
You said you won $20 like last Monday after I suffered. Well, that was Sunday.
Yeah, but I was trying to do the.
I know, but
The big one.
Monday, when I finally just broke down and spent the
Yeah, yeah.
But even $20, Scott, would help for groceries. Even $20, you know, or a hamburger or something.
Well, I was trying to win the million though.
I know. And I love you and thank you for saving everything, not spending it.
Yeah, I want to get millions for the family.
Oh, I know.
You know?
I know. Anyway, for good luck, I'm leaving one more dollar in my wallet.
Oh, really?
Hey, don't you remember
Yeah.
the song? Midnight Rider?
All right.
One more.
More silver dollar.
Oh, I got $1 bill.
Okay. Oh
Right?
yeah.
It makes me sad that he's dead.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Plus, good singers.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, if you'll buy your one ticket.
Yeah.
And then
I'll do it.
say, and
All
I'm
right.
quick.
Okay.
Or do you want to pay it?
No, I got
If
it.
you don't want to play it for tomorrow night, play it for the next Texas two-step.
Yeah, I'll do it.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the
I
For
thought
the-
we'd do something different. One
Yeah.
pick and your number
Yeah.
for the Saturday night lotto.
Yeah, I got
How much is it for?
400 million or something.
Oh, 400 million, that's all.
Yeah. 400 million, that's all. Bam.
And how much
All right.
was the Texas two-step?
It was for
4 million or something?
yeah.
Okay. So it's not 400 million.
No.
Well, I love you.
Love you, thanks.
I'm sorry.
Oh. Beep beep. Oh no. Alright, so we're on the adventure nigga. Adventure nigga. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, love you. Thanks. Love you. Yeah, I'm right.
I can't wait till you learn our new phones and
Oh, yeah?
how awesome they are.
Yeah.